My name is David York. Glad that you all are here tonight. Thanks for joining us. So kind of have a lot to cover, so want to get through these quickly. So sorry if I'm fast, but this is recorded, so you can review it if you need to. We do have some other guest speakers coming up. We have data analytics career opportunities in finance with a member of Truist. That should be pretty exciting. We've had them before, and they're really excellent speakers. So looking forward to that. We have a Per Borgen from Scrimba. He's the founder of Scrimba, on how to basically go from zero experience to employed in software. He's a Norwegian developer, knows a lot about the industry. Then we skip a week, so no guest speaker on the 11th, but then the 18th, we have another Truist speaker on designing financial mobile applications. So again, some pretty valuable stuff there. Really great speakers, so looking forward to that. Tonight, we have Gyan Gupta back again with us. So this is sort of part two of a two-part thing. You didn't have to see the first one, so if you didn't, no sweat. That's no big deal. But here to talk about Kanban and Scrum artifacts and the Agile methodology. So he is a release-trained engineer. He's an Agile coach, senior Scrum master, and overall Agile guru. So here to talk to us about some of the high points. This, for the record, this slide deck will be available afterward whenever I post the recording in Slack. And as a general reminder, keep yourself muted unless you're asking a question, and please ask questions and feel free to. You can either use the chat function or Q&A. So, Gyan, I'll pass it over to you. Take it away.
Thank you, David. Good evening, everyone. It is my pleasure to talk to you again. So we talked about in very first time is what in the world is Agile. Second, we'll talk about Scrum, and today we're going to talk about Kanban. What I'm sharing with you is the slide from my first session. What in the world is Agile? The Scrum and Kanban framework that you see here. These two are what we call delivery framework. That's how you deliver the code that you develop. Lean and Kanban has some in common. We'll touch upon that. Now, these blue shaded, they are purely development sort of framework. Extreme programming, crystal programming, dynamic. So these are programming techniques and methodologies, right? And these are more delivery of the code, right? So I just wanted to touch upon this one before I talk about Kanban. Last time we talked about Scrum, and that was a fun session. I enjoyed doing that. So let's talk about Kanban, okay? So bear with me. I need to skip a bunch of slides. Look familiar? Oh, went too fast. Go back. Okay, so we're going to talk about Kanban. Disclaimer again, most of the pictures I have taken from internet, and some of the material is also cut and paste. So I thank everybody who had given me explicit permission, or more like implicit permission, to use some of these things, right? So let's get started, okay? So where did Kanban come from? And Kanban was developed with Taichi Ono, which is pictures on the right side. It was in 40s. And he developed this framework for Toyota. He worked for Toyota, and that is when they're looking at manufacturing line. How do we manufacture? How do we improve on manufacturing process and reduce the defect? How do we optimize the manufacturing costs? So all that got put together, and which became Kanban, right? The Kanban is Kan. I believe Kan. There's a Japanese word. I don't remember now. Ban is board, and Kan is to do, something like that. I should know it better. The Kanban really is It's a combination of 5 different practices. First, you visualize the workflow, limit the work in progress, measure and manage the work, make process policy explicit, and use models to recognize process improvements, right? This doesn't make any sense right now, right? So let's take a deeper dive and figure out what it is. So we'll go back talking about Scrum versus Kanban. So we did talk about Scrum. So there's a difference is it's really approach of planning and execution. Scrum is a time bound. So you do it's a structure framework for planning and execution. So what that means is we work in a 2 week sprint or 3 week sprints, and we have ceremonies. We do certain things. We're very disciplined approach, right? It is very suitable for development work, especially when we know exactly what we are building. Last time we talked about building products versus doing projects, right? So building product using the Scrum framework. That works really well. Now on Kanban, on the other hand, it's a very flexible methodology, right? What it what it targets is a continuous flow of work and delivery. It's really best suited for unplanned work. And we'll talk more about it, which is service desk or help desk. So help desks typically use Kanban boards rather than Scrum. Um, so I wanted to pay attention to this picture on the right side, making the donuts. Probably you all are too young to know that there used to be commercial from I think what Dunkin' Donuts. This guy gets up in the morning and says, "I got to make the donuts. I got to make the donuts." Do you remember that, David? Uh, so if anybody been to Krispy Kreme donut, then when you go to buy the Krispy Kreme, you see how they make it. And this is assembly line is coming from the Krispy Kreme donut. Now visualize that, right? Somewhere here there is a big pot where they had the dough. So basically they throw the flour, yeast, water, everything, and then comes down here and becomes the flour becomes dough, and then there's a machine there that will cut it into small circles, and then it comes to the fryer. It will fry, come out of here. This they put the glaze on it, and comes out of here, right? So some of the things. So this is a Kanban flow. This is a flow. Let's not talk Kanban. Let's have flow. A flow. There are multiple steps to this process, and everything has to be done in a sequential fashion. Now, what are the things we're looking for? We'll talk about more later, and I'm going to refer to donut uh, making the donut over and over, right? So that's why I want to give you context for this picture, and last time when we were talking about Scrum, I was using the restaurant business, right? We're making breakfast. And I'm a foodie, so I like the food analogies, and it sticks in our head. So next time when you hear about Kanban after an hour from now, you will think about making donuts. Okay? Let's go to the next slide, and then we see if we have any. All right. So Kanban is a popular framework using Agile DevOps, right? So so the work items are, this is something we call Kanban board. This looks pretty much similar to a Scrum board, but there's a basic difference in there, right? So it's really here, the work items are represented visually on Kanban board, allowing members to see any state of each piece of work. So what we do here in the backlog, all of the things that we need to work on today, that get presented here. So somebody like product owner or will define what we need to do. So product owner we talked about last time is the person who works the business, and they keep on looking at what they need to work on, and they keep posting the little stickies virtually or electronically in our Kanban in a backlog board, right? So these rows called swim lanes. So the swim lanes are typically created by the priority. We'll talk about that as well. So high priority items on top, low priority on the bottom, right? That's why they're color coded. So what happens? The team members comes as, okay, hey, I got all this work to do. They're working on top priority. Let me start working on it. They grab the ticket and instead moving through the board. Now move here, 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 and yeah, this is done. Right. So idea is that you take every ticket and move it through the board to the done. Right. Now these steps are the remember the donut process, making the dough, cutting the dough, frying the dough, glaze the dough, and then you're done, right? So these are the steps you take to do the work from end to end, right? Now, if we look at software development, we're going to talk about, maybe you have a story, then you could development, after development, you do test and done, right? So that's the kind of similar thing, but in Scrum, we want to have, okay, I think I got a slide on that one, right? And then also there's a dedicated matrices or some how to analyze it, how to look at the efficiency, how you look at performance, and how you do get better, right? So this is what a Kanban board looks like, and Kanban is just a name for another way of delivering the work. Okay, I'm going to take a pause. Any questions? Silence is golden. Okay. So what's the benefit of using Kanban board, right? So here's another picture. Different. Here are the stories, which is the backlog. To do in progress and testing done. So this is a simple Kanban board. And again, you look at it, these color, different color indicates a different priority, right? But you could define as team what you want it to be. You could define there maybe you got a team member where we specialize. If you look at the service desk, desktop support, you may have two engineers who are very much hardware oriented and the two engineers who are very much Microsoft Office oriented, right? So you could have different color stickies for Microsoft Office oriented service folks, and the hardware folks could have their own color. Oh, sorry. So you can have different colors. So you decide, you could as a team decide what works, right? But what it does the visual clarity, right? So you see where the things are, how many things are and it's still to do, how many things are done, and how many where they are. Now this improves the efficiency. Well, how do you does improve the efficiency, right? Because we're moving from column to column to column. If a column gets too many thoughts, it get accumulated, what we call a bottleneck. You see that, right? If what's going on here is there's a lot of job getting accumulated testing, a lot of code accumulated testing. That means people are doing the lot development, putting it in the testing, but the testers are not being able to test and make it done. Maybe we used to have 3 testers on the team. One is out sick today, or something else is going on, right? So this creates a visibility, clarity, and it improves the efficiency. Now, its flexibility is flexible because these columns, uh, a 4 different team could have 4 different Kanban board. Their own column, depending on what they do and how they work, they can define these columns, the steps of the process, what works for them, what works for the kind of work they do, right? So that's kind of flexibility, right? Now that's what we're calling, in fancy words, calling adaptable to various workflows and team needs. A collaboration, right? Now everybody talking collaborating. For example, right? If there's too many tickets getting piled up, I'm using word ticket or stickies. These are cards, stories, ticket. That's all the same thing, right? If you get too many testing accumulating in testing, and somebody who is doesn't have anything to do, and like in progress, there's a few things. Hey, you know what? Hey, tester, I think you got too many things in your pile. Can I jump in and start doing testing? I can test, right? So they can jump in. So if this start to see the challenges, they can proactively manage and address that. Does this make sense, guys? Well, I'm using the word guys generically, so for ladies, forgive me for that. Good. I like thumbs up. Thank you. Thank you. All right. Now let's compare and contrast, right? You remember this from past, right? With the team, Remember with 345, right? The three roles. So team, product owner, scrum master. This is not much different. You still have the same thing. Only thing is the fancy name for scrum master now is the flow master. But the responsibility and what they need to do still stays the same. Okay, that has not changed between. So that's one thing. Is Kanban and Scrum are very similar models. So I'm trying to figure out. I'm trying to show you what are the differences, right? These are four. There were three, four, five, four artifacts, right? Now you still have the backlog, and you prioritize backlog. But what we do not have is a sprint backlog. And why we do not have a sprint backlog? Can anybody answer that question? Why we not have? Why is not needed a sprint backlog? Anyone? Anyone? Ferris Bueller? Come on, guys. That's a joke.
Artifacts.
Yeah. Why do we not have a sprint backlog?
Yeah, so artifacts are kind of like the overall like end result or like project, at least in my team. So artifacts are broken down into
That's
stories over
backlog.
time.
That's backlog. So there's subtle differences. A sprint backlog versus a backlog. No, you're on the right track. So I apologize for interrupting you. Right. So you what
Yeah,
you're describing, yeah, backlog, right?
yeah. So artifacts themselves are across like multiple sprints.
Yep. So
So like they
hang
can
on,
last a long time.
hold on that thought. When we talk about Scrum, there were sprints in a Scrum. Are there sprints in Kanban? No. That's the major difference. There is no sprint. Things come in, they go out. They come in, go out, come in, go out. We do not work in a sprint. We do not work a time-bound sprint. That's why we do not have a sprint backlog. Right? Does it make sense now? That's why we do not take a product backlog and then build a sprint backlog out of the big thing what we need to do now, right? We have a Scrum board, we have a Kanban board. Everything is thing to do, then doing and done, right? So it's a version of the same Kanban. Scrum board is a Kanban board. What we do not have is a sprint. We have the same three roles. Now we have Kanban board, which is a big visual information radiator. We still have the board, we still have the column. In Scrum, as a fewer column, better it is. But in Kanban, it's different. More columns there are, it creates more visibility where you are. So you encourage to have a meaningful columns. Okay. Now the matrix is color red because the matrices are different. One thing we call them CFD, cumulative flow diagram. Um, that diagram shows you what we call cycle time. That is what time it takes to complete a task, right? You got a service ticket in some time, and then sometimes you finish servicing that request, right? My computer is broken. For example, oh, I cannot log in. I need a password reset, right? How much time does it take to get it done, right? Idea there is that if we record how much time it takes for us to do that, we can look into it and see how can we do it better. So if it took us 2 hours to get something done, can we do something differently as a process improvement to cut down the 2 hours to maybe hour 45 minutes, right? Or it used to take 2 hours, now it takes 3 hours. What had happened? Microsoft changed something. So now I have to do a three more steps to do the same thing which I used to do. So that cycle time is a good indication what it takes. But also you look at the average time of something and then standard deviation, because these two statistics play a key role. That stuff is for some longer discussion for some other time, right? Think about in donut shop, right? So by the time your dough gets into the fryer, by the time a donut comes out, how much time it takes, right? Can we adjust that time? Maybe we can turn the stove a little higher to heat up. Maybe go faster, right? Oh, no, maybe not, because we'll burn it. Can we do it slower? So you once you know have you had data, you can take an action to improve on things or change things, right? So this is cycle time is a key indicator. Otherwise, throughput, right? So how many donuts can we make, right? In 2 hour shifts, right? Coming from the dough all the way to out to the glazed donuts, how many are we creating in a unit time? Maybe an hour, right? And we constantly trying to improve on that and produce more. Um, the Toyota uses that for their car manufacturing, right? All the parts come in, they get assembled, and what comes out is a car. So how long does it take for them to make a car? There was a time GM used to spend like 2 to 3 weeks to build a car, but then they got to a point that a car is building like in 20 hours or so. And Ford was the first one to put together a assembly line. So all this is tied together, right? So as a donut shop, you want to make sure your throughput is good, so you're making a lot of donuts, selling a lot of donuts. Okay. Now look at WIP. WIP is a work in progress. So, got a question. So second, technically, when the assembly line is full. Okay. So work in progress. So what that is that it's each step in Kanban board, how many work items you can have at given time. This is like, think about that, our donut example, when there's a fryer, how many donut can you put in? If you put way too many donuts to fry, they will not fry right. They create a bottleneck, right? So what we do is, okay, so we can have only like 10 donuts in the fryer at a given time. That's your WIP limit. If you get 12 donuts, then there's a problem that we need to slow down the assembly lines. Okay, slow down the machine so they do not make that many donuts to put in the fryer, right? So same thing happened Kanban. When we have multiple columns, we want to make sure that each column has a work WIP limit. How many items can you have? A rule of thumb is probably 2 cars per developer in development environment, right? The another thing is that that's the WIP, right? Uh, Anything else? I'm losing my thought right now. So okay, it'll come back to me. So that's the WIP limit for the each column, right? So that to avoid congestion, avoid bottleneck, right? And remember we talked about earlier, if the testing is the bottleneck, then the developer can jump in to help with the testings, right? That's the advantage of that. So that's the artifacts we have for Kanban. Any question? And the student who volunteered information, I thank you, and I apologize I interrupted you. But you were on the right track. But what I was trying to get to is a sprint backlog versus a generic backlog. Thank you for your input.
Yeah. No, you're good. So my development team
Uh-huh.
combines both of these two
Uh-huh.
in one process, and it's very confusing. So that's why I'm
Okay.
here to see how it's actually supposed to be done.
All right. So you and I need to have a conversation outside this class. Let me understand what your challenges are. I mean, that's exactly what I like to do, what I do. And even if you where you work, if anybody wants to have conversation on that, I'll be more than happy to uh, just make some time for any education. Okay.
I appreciate that. They're not usually open to feedback, especially from me. So
Yeah. Well, it's always better coming from outside, right? Okay. Thank you. Thank you. Okay. Let me move on to the next one now, right? So what we'll talk about, so we talked about cumulative flow diagram. I'm going to touch upon this thing. Oh, here comes my donuts again, right? So all of the work that's being done here this is the cumulative flow diagram that gets created by the tool you use, something like Jira, and that will produce these kind of charts. I mean, you can yourself too, but let the tools use that. And here the thing like cycle time, the throughput, that get calculated. This chart is complex, and this is a class by itself, cumulative flow diagram, but that is a a genius thing, cumulative flow diagram. It's pretty much a statistical math. It came from the statistics, right? So looking at some of these, and these concepts are not new. I mean, they're really 50, 60, 80 years old, right? But remember the donuts, that's the flow. You come the fryer, the fry, comes here, get glazed, and move out, right? And there's a drying cycle in there between as well. So these are multiple steps. Did you guys like my donut analogy? I kind of like it. I think it's sweet. Thank you. Play on words. I think it's sweet, right? All right. There we go. Events. It's all different. All right. So 3, 4, 5. 5 events are not the same. So let's talk about those. Okay. There we are. Very simplistic view. Okay. So what you see on the top, these are the events that we had in a Scrum environment, right? And let's see what goes on in Kanban. Do we have backlog refinement? Yes, it's ongoing, right? So I'm going to switch to analogy now is the help desk, right? You're running you have a say 500 user IT organization where you're running a help desk for them, right? So you get the whole kind of tickets. So use something like Jira to get the ticket. Somebody creates service ticket, sends it to you or your team, and your team gets it, right? So as soon as the ticket comes in, they go in the backlog, right? Sprint planning, we talked earlier, right? There is no sprint, so that we don't have the need for sprint planning, right? Daily Scrum, right? It's highly recommended. Review any challenges and facilitate team communication. These are the 3 key things that does. So I would highly recommend that team would have a quick quick meeting either end of the day or first thing in the morning. Sometimes for services, I like end of the day, just to review what has happened, how are things gone, how things have worked, how many tickets we delivered, what were the challenges were, did you need any help, right? So daily Scrum is a highly recommended, is a good idea to have one. A sprint review and demo, that's not needed, but a periodic review is recommended. What I'm saying here is that you saw all the data we collected for CFD. Have a review of CFD on a periodic basis, and I like that on a weekly basis, right? On a weekly basis, we look at it, what our throughput was, or what was our cycle time. Have a conversation. That comes in retrospective. Say, okay, so this week our throughput was 10% less. What has happened here? Well, the cause could be in last time we were getting simple requests like changing the password. Now, since we had the crowd, what was the defect that came out? Crowdsource or crowd thing that took down most of the computers in the world, right? I just saw in the news Delta suing that company for a few $1 million. So we had a new security threat, and now we have to spend more time resolving those security threats, right? So that's why we were able to deliver fewer tickets, right? So that gives a idea. So what needed to be done, what have done, and what we can make improvements, right? So that's why retrospective is important, right? And in retrospective, sometimes team members come say, you know what, when we get tickets like that, we work in this way, but how about if we work differently, then maybe we can do better, quality goes up. In case of car manufacturing, there was a situation where I think it was Ford, where they were assembling something and in a sequence. I think they was doing something with the dashboard, and then they have to go to the front under the hood and do something else. So suggestion came back saying, well, why don't we do that thing that we need to do under the hood first and then do the dashboard? That would save us like 5 minutes of our time. Now when you're making 1 million cars in a year, maybe it's an exaggeration, but many cars, and you save 5 minutes in every manufacturing process, you 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 increase the throughput and lower the cost, right? Time is money. Less time you spend in doing something, more cost effective it becomes, right? But if you look at the pillar of a Scrum, they still stay the same. They do not change, right? Transparency, inspection, and adoption, right? We're still doing those three things, but we're doing a bit differently. Now I'm going to take a pause. If you have any questions on that. We still talk about 3, 4, 5, but it's a bit different in its Kanban. Yeah, well, I might be done early today. I might have time for more stories. All right, there we go. Now, so I've been talking about the a help desk Kanban, right? A typical help desk will happen that there would be a team of people. They were looking at every ticket that comes in. And they may be part of the Kanban team or maybe different team. They triage the service tickets, right? Then they prioritize and post. When they prioritize, they go to post in this story, the first column, right? Um, so think about it, prioritization, right? Somebody is locked out of, um, let me take example of a bank. A bank teller cannot log into his or her account versus a, a clerical staff cannot log into the account, right? Locked out of the account. Which is higher priority? A bank teller or an office worker? Bank teller, right? So that's one thing they prioritize, right? So if you look at this little chart, thanks to BMC, so we're looking at the impact, right? So that is based on priorities. Priority, let me talk about that. Look at a bank teller is locked out versus your CFO is locked out or CEO is locked out. So which is higher priority, CEO or a teller? Right?
I'm still gonna
Exactly.
say bank teller.
Come again?
I'm still gonna say bank teller. Sorry.
Well, but the thing is, there are other bank tellers who can do the job, right? A bank may have 4 bank tellers. Your one teller cannot log in, others can do. So we can still run the bank. But if CEO is locked out, that is a bigger impact, right?
That is true, but it also probably depends on the company and what role the CEO actually plays in day-to-day operations,
Hey,
doesn't it?
hey, CEO is the king, okay? Yeah, in real world, that's the way it works. The people higher up in the food chain get the preferential treatment. That's the fact of life. But you're right. You're right. Right. I mean, think about it a bit differently, right? There could be situations where somebody who working in the field, working with the customers and clients. But think about it. Your commercial website is down, right? But Amazon. Here's an example. Amazon.com is down right now versus Bezos, right? Bezos is the CEO. He cannot log into his email. In that case, Bezos will not care about his own login because the website is down. If that site is down, he's not making money, right? So, so we have to look at this chart here, right? So what is the urgency and what's the priority of things, right? A combination that helps you decide the impact, and that will help you decide what priority of the priority your ticket is going to be, right? So if this high priority, I mean, it does say it does say priority here, but this really is what I'm talking about. High priority versus impact, right? This is a priority. Sorry, I tripped myself. So this is the impact: low, high, and medium, medium and high, and urgency is high. So impact is So in case of a teller locked out, that's high impact and high urgency. So it's a high priority, right? While in the later case, the website is down versus Bezos account is locked out, right? That is not that high impact, right? But that is high is urgency. So that could be falls into this category, right? Or this category, low and high. So you want to do is address the high first, then medium, and then low, right? So that allows us to define what work get done first. Then team executes on it, team deliver. They keep on giving new ticket, keep on working, keep on delivering, and do a daily review to see now what we've done and what we're not able to do and what can we change. Right? Any questions on this chart? I apologize. I stumbled upon this impact, I mean, priority things a little bit. Any question on that? I'm clear as mud, right? All right, thank you. You know, if you guys digest this chart, it will come handy in your life. Okay. All right. Moving along. WIP limit. We talked about work in progress limit, right? Why do they matter? I mean, that's a big deal in Kanban. WIP. Oh yeah, I was going to talk about WIP limit. So, so each column on the Kanban board, it has a WIP limit, but it also has an exit criteria. I forgot about that one. Exit criteria. So if you go from column A to column, let me find a Kanban board. Look at this one, right? So you start doing. I think I like other one better. This one, right? So the things that backlog, things to do, what we're going to do today, the low priority thing, we're not going to do it. We're going to do the high priority things. When they're done, we'll bring in the low priority things, right? Then things are in progress. Now, what makes these charts or these cards move from to do to in progress, right? So there's an exit criteria for to do, which is when a team member is available to work on it, team member pick up the highest priority story ticket and work on it, right? So exit criteria is when a team member is available to work on a new ticket, right? What's in progress? What goes from progress to testing? The exit criteria for in progress is that when all the development is done, code is in the right place, then somebody is ready to test the code, then you move to testing. Okay. And what the exit criteria for testing to done is when all the regression testing is done, all the functional testing is done. Each team can define their own testing criteria, and that testing criteria, these exit criteria for each have been agreed by the whole team. Right? You just don't create in a vacuum. So because everybody needs to understand what it is and everybody needs to follow that, right? And from testing, okay, all these three testings are done, then we can move it to done. Then we know it's done, right? Part of testing and service test, maybe we call the customer and make sure the customer or client or user can log into his account or her account. So once you reset the password, customer can log in, then only I can close the ticket saying I'm done, right? So that's the exit criteria. I missed out on that one earlier. So I apologize for that. You know what? Let me go back. What would be the exit criteria for the donuts in the fryer? You know, the fry the donut is a column. What could be an exit criteria for donuts to move from fryer to the glazing station?
They're cooked. The
They're
cooking
cooked. Yeah. they reach certain temperature, they reach certain color, something like that. Then only you're gonna move them. Color, temperature, size, exactly. Then only it goes from fryer to the glazing station. Now we understand the exit criteria, right? All right. All right. All right. So any question on this help desk Kanban? All right. Moving along. WIP limits, we're talking about that, right? So it improves the focus. We know how many things we can work on. We'll stay focused on that. Then increase efficiency. It helps to identify the bottleneck. If you get too many cards getting accumulated in one column, that is a bottleneck, right? If there's a bottleneck, then everything behind it will slow down. It's almost like having an accident on interstate, right? Once you have an accident, everything gets back up, right? It takes a long time to remove the bottleneck or backup. Uh, it takes a long time to remove the bottleneck so the backup can be removed, right? And that costs time and money. What? Enhanced flow. This is exactly what we're doing. If we can control the bottleneck does not happen. The cars will start moving constantly on the interstate. They will not slow down. So we want to do everything possible to avoid the bottleneck, right? That's why there's a construction zones and they put a sign up there and slow down. Yeah. So to avoid the bottleneck, but it doesn't happen. Okay. Any questions on WIP limits? WIP is work in progress. All right. And that is my song and dance on Kanban. Any questions? I can go back to my other slides if you want to talk about Scrum or Agile. Anything? I have all my slides here and I have converted all of this into a PDF, which I think David will make it available to you guys at some time.
Yeah, in the next couple of days, whenever I post the recording.
Right. So I'm gonna do this since I have time. David, I thought it will take more time, but I got done early. I'm gonna walk through these slides. Stop me if you need if you have any comments or need any conversation on any of these slides. And if I really have to spend some time on any slide, this is the one I would like to spend more time. Right. So what I want us to do, look at the Agile Manifesto. That's a good idea. Let's go back, right? We started with this manifesto and principles, right? Now we have learned about Scrum and Kanban and see how they apply, how these principles and manifesto are sort of delivered by those two frameworks, right? So manifest, look at the individual and interactions over process and tool, right? And we're looking at um, the events, right? We have a daily Scrum. We have a Scrum. We have a sprint planning, and we have a retrospective. Those are individual interactions, right? So the working product, what's come out of the pipeline, right? I want my donuts, right? Rather documentation. Who cares about documenting how the donuts are made? As long as I'm getting it done. Because if you document, nobody reads the documentation, right? So I really want a working document. I want my donuts, right? Customer collaboration. Now, that's one thing we did not talk a whole lot about. So at the end, so we work with the customer to figure out what kind of donut do they want, right? Somebody wants chocolate donuts, somebody wants some different donuts. We use that customer collaboration in our Scrum example when we were making breakfast, right? And we would do that with customer. The contract negotiation there could be, hey, it's not on the menu. So you really want a breakfast with decaf coffee, but that's not in the menu. That's my contract, what I can provide you. But if customer want that, we can have to figure it out. We may have to send our Scrum Master, go buy me some decaf coffee so I can deliver decaf coffee. That's where Scrum Master comes in to remove impediments and responding to change, right? You start making breakfast. Somebody say, oh, they don't want the white toast, they want whole wheat toast, right? So you on the fly, you can make a change, right? So here's another key line I want you to read this, right? That is, while there is value in the items on the right, this one, we value the items on the left more. We still do process, we still do documentation, not whole lot. We still negotiate contracts, and we still follow a plan. But these things are more important. If I have to create a working product versus writing documentation, I'll work on the product than writing a documentation. That means, don't ask me to write a requirements document while I can be coding the product, coding the software, right? So this is that's not anything about development, anything about tools, anything about that. But it just this is like to me, this is like US Constitution, right? There are not a whole lot of words, but a whole lot of meaning to it. And then also how we take it. Right? And so I'm gonna switch to principles, the one that we talked about the other day. This one. So we did talk about 4 of them, right? So highest priority is satisfy customer through the early and continuous delivery, welcome change, deliver working software frequently and from a couple of weeks to a couple of months. From this is when we have a sprint, right? This is part of Scrum. Every 2 weeks, we deliver some valuable code. Business people and developer must work together. In old time, when we do projects, business people rarely work with the developers. The project manager works with you, who has a project plan, tell you what to do. But now in a Scrum, and in Kanban as well, business people are working with you shoulder to shoulder, so that you know what we need to build, you know why we need to build, and if you're not able to do that, then you let the business people know what challenges are, right? And one of the things I think about it is that in a good environment, they should not tell you how, okay, how to do something, or rather what we need to have done. I'll give you an example. We want to build a car, which is we need a mode of transportation to carry 2 people for 40 miles, right? And let the developer figure out what that is. So the business said, okay, I need some mode of transportation that will allow me to move 20 people, 4 people 20 miles, right? So let the developer figure out what kind of mode that's going to be: a bus, maybe a rickshaw, maybe maybe an aeroplane, and maybe a drone, right? So they can decide, because to me, the technical team, we hire best and the brightest, right? And they are the full of ideas. They are the brain. So oftentimes when the project management we hire the brightest, and then we tell them what to do, so they cannot use their creativity. So it's just important that we put the creativity where it belongs to. Um, let's see, building project around the motivated, that's not a big deal. Agile process promotes sustainable development. The sponsor, developer, and user should be able to maintain a constant pace indefinitely, right? That's your Kanban flow. Most efficient and effective method of conveying information is within development is face-to-face conversation. So that's why when we do, in old days we used to the daily stand-up, DSU we call it, where everybody is to work together, is set in the same biggest space, and talk to each other rather than emailing, texting. No, just go talk, tapping somebody's shoulder, say, hey, I think I'm trying to do this, or go to product owner, product owner, say, hey, is that what you wanted me to build? Is this what you wanted? Right? So just talk. It's just more efficient and effective. And that's the reason we had a smaller team, 6 to 8 people, because there is I don't remember, there's certain research that was done. I was saying if there's more than 6 channels of communication, it's too many. You cannot have effective communication more than 6. Um, and that then the regular there you go, simplicity, the art of maximizing the flow, work done. That's our throughput. The best architecture required, design and engagement, and emerges from the self-organizing team. Self-organizing team. Here the key word, right? So all the teams. So we built the Scrum teams and Kanban teams were self-motivated, self-sufficient, and self-organized. Here, they are total independence to do what they need to do, as long as they deliver the stories, right? So, this is the principle and things that I would like you to keep in mind, nothing else. And David, with this thing, I think I'm gonna come. Let me finish looking at the pictures. Any picture you want more time on, I can talk about it. 3, 4, 5. User story. 3 roles. 4 artifacts. 5 events. And the big picture. Oh, that's not the one I wanted. I need to rearrange this thing. So if you're inspired by this thing, become a Scrum Master. Take some Scrum Master training. Talk to your employer. Talk to your bosses. Say, hey, I like to become Scrum Master. Can I get? They're not expensive trainings. You can, but somebody got to pay for it, right? But it's worth it. Product owner. If you are a type person who is more like BA, business analyst, who would like to understand, work with the business, get information, translate that, can communicate that with the team, become a product owner, right? We talked about scaling, which is managing multiple teams working on a same product. This is called Scale Agile framework. That is another framework that's worth learning about. Just get better by attending meetings, get the free training. There's a lot of free training going on. Find a coach, ask questions, call me. You get my number. YouTube had boatload of videos, that'll keep you busy and make you learn something as well. And fortunately, most all videos on the same topic will give you the same message. It's pretty consistent. It's not that you get different messages from different sources. Help organize in the journey, become agile, right? Have your management organization. Talk to your manager. I don't know. Didn't catch the name I was talking to earlier. If your organization is not, if you're uncomfortable in the way your organization is trying to become agile by using Scrum or Kanban, and it's just not happening, talk to them, right? Have the management take the training. Go watch some video YouTube and say, hey, Mr. Manager, I saw this thing on YouTube and I thought I really like it. Would you mind watching this thing? Or better, if you learn something, go teach your colleagues, do a seminar with your colleagues, teach them, right? And as always, you can ask some crazy people like me. David, I really am done this time. Thank you all very much for your time. I enjoyed talking about it. Thank you. I appreciate all the feedback I'm getting. And you have my name and phone number. Send me an email anytime you have a question.
And again, this slide deck will go out whenever I send out the recording, probably tomorrow afternoon. All right. Bye, everybody. Have a good night, eh?
Thank you. You're very welcome. I appreciate your compliments and thoughts. Have a good day.